In this video, we're going to be fixing a water leak on the Vauxhall Corsa. Now, this is not an engine leak. This is one that's leaking inside the car. It's rainwater that's actually seeping in and getting inside the car and making the carpet wet. So in this video, this is what we're going to do. We're going to repair this leak and show you just how to do it in step by step. So as you can see, this is inside the car itself and the floor is wet. Even to the touch, you can see there's pools of water in there. Now the water is coming in from around the brake booster seal. It slips in, the rainwater runs down it and it just builds up and pulls up inside your car and then it gets trapped in here. So this is what happens. This is a very common fault with this type of car. Okay, so under the car now, we've lifted up the bonnet and you've got to remove the scuttle panel just underneath the window. Now that's a Torx and the rubber seal comes off. Now to the left of the window, you've got an 8mm bolt there, which you've got to remove. Same thing on the other side, just take them off. Then once you've removed them, it's on to the next stage of just removing the wiper blades. Now I did this in a bit of a backwards way, but really you should just remove both of them at the same time, but this was the first time me doing this job, so it took me a little time to work out. And as you can see there, I'll just remove the washer. So now once you've loosened up everything around there, once you've loosened them two bolts, it's just about removing the plastic moulding. A lot of it clips in and there's only a few screws really, it's not that many screws at all. So then once you've undid that, you can see I'm just moving the battery wire out of the way just to make some space. And I'm just shaking off the wiper motor. You may have to shake it a few times depending, because sometimes these do seize on and they can be a bit difficult to get off. So this scuttle panel comes off in two parts, like it's like 2/3 and 1/3 on the other side. So once you've loosened it, just pull it apart and undo the washer hose. Be careful here because these can break, so just take your time and try and pull them off. You know, they can be a bit stubborn. So for this one, we had to remove the battery as well. Remember to remove the negative terminal first. Just buzz it off and then just start to undo everything around there, because you're going to need access to the bulkhead of the car so you can start to remove everything around it. This, like I said before, you should have removed the wiper motor both at the same time, but this is the order as I did it, so I'm showing you exactly the way I did it. But you can move them both at the same time, and be careful that the nut doesn't drop down there like mine did. Okay, so now that's done, just give it a little shake off. Can take a bit of time, like I said before. And then the last piece of the scuttle panel should just ease up. Like I said, just work it around. There you go. Now we're going to need to remove the water bottle. This is the washer bottle to give you more space. Remember to take off the clip. So I just undid the clip and lifted up the plug itself. These can be seized. And just slip that clip ring back over it so it doesn't go missing, you don't lose it. Now the hose to the washer jet bottle just pulls off and you can put that away safe. So you can come back later and do that. So here now we've got the wiper motor itself. Now this is pretty easy to remove. Just undo that there, undo the plug. And then I think these are 7mm again. Just take your time and undo these. Come off pretty easy. Same with the other side. And it's got like a little location bracket at the back. You're gonna have to slide it left, which I didn't really show you very well there, but you should be able to work it out once you see what's going on. Now this is the intake, the air cabin filter. So it's 4 Torx screws. Don't remember what size they are, but just undo them. They all come off. There's only 4, and it just pulls out like that. Really simple stuff. Now you can see the state of that pollen filter, so it'd probably be a good time to change it if yours is in the same sort of condition as my one. So we get rid of that for the minute. We also got to remove the battery tray, which is 13mm bolts. There's 4 of them. Just undo them. Like if you've got one of these handheld electrical screwdrivers, it does make things a lot easier, because once you're on it, you can just pull it off. So like I said, remove that battery tray as well. There you go, put that to the side. Put it all somewhere safe. And now just giving you a look of what goes on in here. And this is why it blocks up, because this turns into mush and blocks up the outlets, which are located at the bottom, just underneath this brake booster and just on the other side that I was looking at earlier. So This is why it gets stuck under there. I'm trying to give you different shots. You can even see, even though the top part of it's actually quite dry, down there where there's no sunlight and no breeze, it's still pretty wet. So we're going to move the brake booster hose. I'm using my ratchet spanner. I believe this is a 13 also. And do the same on the other side here. Just unscrew it. Remember not to drop the bolts because you won't find them again. They're really hard to believe. So we're trying to create as much space as possible by removing the wire and all the grommets out of the way so we can really reach in there. You can see what I'm doing here. And then just once you've undone your master cylinder, just lift it up. Try not to manhandle it too much, but just enough so you've got enough space to actually get to work on it. So that should be your way out your way enough now. It's going to look something like this. Here's me just scraping up some of the crud that I could actually get my hand onto just to show you what was actually under there. And this is what holds the water, and this is what makes it seep into the car because it can pull up and end up into your car. Now from the inside of your car it gets a bit trickier here. Well, not tricky, but you have to undo this this panel here, which are Torx. I think they're 15. And then this little glove cubby hole actually holds it in. So once you undo the tabs at the top, it'll pull down and it'll drop out. You'll be able to pull it out really, really easily like that there. Like I said, make sure to keep all the screws in a good place. So this is up underneath the brake pedal, and this is the right side of the brake pedal. You can see a 30mm bolt there. Try my best to show you because it's a really hard shot. So this is the brake pedal itself. And on the other side, there's another bolt there. Now, like I said, it is a little bit tricky to see and it was very difficult to record, so I did my best to show you what you need to do. So I moved the accelerator cable to the gas pedal. This was two 30mm bolts. Like I said, this is the gas pedal now. And then just drag that off. There you go. And then this onto the brake. This is the other side of the brake master cylinder. So I'm undoing this bolt here. Once I release this, this will make the actual brake booster hose free itself. So yeah, you can see what I'm doing. I'm just unloosening both bolts, both sides of the pedal there. So now back at the brake booster hose, you need to remove the booster pipe. You see I just caught my finger there. Be careful because this is what happened to me and I was not happy. I was not happy at all. So be careful, don't drag too hard, try and get a better tool to do that. So now this is back underneath the pedal. It should be all freed up now. So you'll be able to move it, but you need to just remove this split pin. Now this goes from the booster onto the pedal itself. So you move that split pin, as you can see there, on the pedal, and then remove the spring for the brake pedal itself. And then you need to push through that lock-in bolt, which the split pin came off of. There you go. So that's what that springy clip, or not that spring kick behind it, but the split pin that we took off. Once you've done that, it makes the brake booster free and you can remove it totally. So now we're looking at a closer look at it and we can see where it's been keeping wet and where it's been seeping into the car. So this is your problem. There's going to be cracks in the seals and this is what makes it leak back into your car. So with a Stanley blade, I just started to cut off all of the old mastic, the old silicone, the manufactured silicone that was already there. You can see what I'm doing there. I'm just cutting it all out and just trimming it back because I don't really want to be putting silicone on top of the old stuff that's already there. So I'm taking my time to really remove everything that's around there and so I can get a clean connection on whatever I'm doing. So clean it out as best as you could, or this is what I did with a screwdriver and everything. Try and tidy it up as best as possible because it's very difficult in there still, even with everything moved. And yeah, just get it tidy as possible because you've got to clean it up. So with my brush and some soapy water, all I did was just clean up around the area. So you can see exactly what I'm doing here. Just making sure it's as clean as possible, getting rid of any debris because when we come to put our mastic on, it won't stick onto dirty surfaces. So, you know, even if you need a little scourer brush that I'm using there, just do that and get it nice and clean. I decided to clean the rest of it as well, just to get any rubbish out of the way and make sure everything was clean and flushing as it's supposed to, because there's some little gullies underneath there which are supposed to let water run past it. So here it is now, as you can see, it's just drying off. I used the cloth just to dry up the area, make sure it was nice and clean, nice and dry, because like I said, this is probably one of the most important parts, that you get it correct and clean on this area. Now there are a couple of other little places around them other grommets which you got to make sure are clean, they're not split. This is a good time to analyze everything. You can see what I'm doing here. Once it's nice and clean and dried, now it's just on to cleaning it up with some methylated spirit. I cleaned it up with just to make sure it's 100% grease and dirt free. So I cleaned the areas where I was going to be adding my sealant to all around these areas here. So just make sure it's nice and clean and totally prepped and prepared to take on the sealant you're going to be putting on. So once you're happy that your car is all prepared, now it's time to start adding your sealant. Now I used a roof sealant. Now number one, it was because what was available at the time, but there are other sealants you can use. Now the reason why I used the roof sealant, because it was compatible with metal, wood, rubber, all that sort of stuff. So I thought this would have been most suitable. And also it's made to withstand heat, cold, and all the sort of environments that this would be exposed to, movement and everything else. So this is what I thought would be suitable for this particular application. But there are some other ones, there are some other automotive sealants you can use, but I thought this would be all right because of its qualities that it's got. So what you got to do is you got to run a good strong bead, as you see I'm doing around there. And like I say, just take your time. You're gonna have to really reach in there and stay focused and make sure you're getting the points you need to get. If you're not sure and it gets a bit messy, just go over it again. I wouldn't be too worried about the mess as long as you're getting it in the places it needs to get into. As you can see, it doesn't look too bad there, but I was a bit worried about one part, so I added a bit more. But this is what I did, and I think is a good idea for anyone else. I think it's good advice for anyone else. If you're not sure about a particular part, just add a bit more until you're comfortable. It doesn't really matter how it looks. No one ever sees this part, so just make sure it works, you know, instead of it being pretty. That's all I would suggest. So before putting on the master cylinder, I decided just to use a little bit of sealant around the area where it connects onto the actual panel itself. As you can see, I'm just running a bead of sealant just around the edges there, so when I actually screw it on, it squeezes tight and offers another protection barrier, because you don't really want to be doing this job twice. So like everything else here, is just a reversal of taking it off. So you push it through, make sure everything's all right, and line up the bolts. There you go. You feel it sitting, and then you know it's in. Really easy stuff. And then it's underneath, back underneath where the pedal is. Make sure you got your bolts nice and tight, because you don't want any problems here. Make sure that's all good. You're going to have to do the accelerator as well. Remember, this is in a bit of a tricky position, so you know, just make sure you're getting it right, as it is also the brakes as well, and you're going to need them, so you don't want no problems here. So don't forget any part of this. If you've missed anything, just watch the way it was removed to reinstall it, and you'll see to put the split pin on and all them bits and pieces. Now it should all go back on pretty easily. You know, make sure to tighten everything up, not to over tighten it. There's your gas pedal, your accelerator pedal. Put back your brake tray, your battery tray, and everything back as it should. So it's all really easy stuff, and it should work and keep your floor from getting wet. Hope that helped. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe.